is it possible to get full exemption as a Nigerian lawyer? But I also want you to speak of generally as a lawyer from common law jurisdiction. So I don't think someone from civil law jurisdiction will be trying to get an exemption, but then as a lawyer from the common law jurisdiction, is it possible to get an exemption?
So you might get an exemption for the functioning legal knowledge 1 or functioning legal knowledge 2, but more specifically for qualified lawyers from common law jurisdictions. So there's an SQE2 exemption finder on the SRA website where you can just look for your country. So if your country is not on that list, first, you know that you cannot get an SQE2 exemption at all. But then if your country is on the list, so I'll do with Nigeria because that's where I was qualified. So with Nigeria, if you are a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, you can apply for SQE2 exemption. For the SQE2 exemption, what it says you need is to provide a certificate evidencing your professional qualification from the Supreme Court of Nigeria. So the English they're just saying here is your call to bar certificate and your qualifying certificate. Then a reference showing that you have at least 12 months legal work experience post qualification as a Nigerian barrister and solicitor, and then proof of your referee's professional qualification. So you could use a certificate of good standing from the Supreme Court or their admission certificate. And if you can provide this, then you would qualify. And the rationale behind this is obviously because the SQE2 is testing your ability to practice as a solicitor. If you have already practiced in another jurisdiction, then it makes sense that you can apply to be exempt from showing them that you have the capacity to practice. So
yeah, thank you very much for that. And just on that point as well, I wanted to ask if that qualification document that I said for 12 months experience, do you know if you can get that from a law firm? Maybe if you had worked previously and you just get your law firm to send that in, would that also count?
Yeah, that's where they expect you to get it. So it's work experience. So the law firm where you have worked, someone who's standing as a referee for you. My case was a bit different because I left Nigeria almost immediately after qualifying as a lawyer in Nigeria. So I didn't really have that work experience. I didn't even want to explore that area at all. That's why it was just easier for me to do the SQE2. But if you have worked, there's no point doing the exam because it's even the more difficult exam. So there's really no point putting yourself through telling them that you have the skills to practice as a lawyer.
Okay. I think definitely going to include the link in the description again. But then there's also something I wanted to mention. I know that some of the people that I have spoken to about getting exemption usually say they get letter from the NBA as well. And the NBA is the Nigerian Bar Association if you're from Nigeria. So if that's your jurisdiction, so that's something you might also want to explore as well. It's better to go through the hassle and the rigors of getting the exemption than going through the rigors of the exam again.